Hi everyone, I'm Laura Boyd and welcome back to series 6 of Beatson Talks. I can't believe it. I am delighted to be back sharing some more stories from people living with cancer. And we're always delighted and really honoured that people open up and share their stories with us. And today is no different. So I am joined today by the brilliant journalist, Giles Blair. Giles, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Laura. It's a real pleasure to be here and be able to share my story
Your
with other
story.
people.
And I mean, quite an incredible story. And it just kind of started last year. 2025 was
Indeed.
your year of diagnosis. Can you take me back? Actually, take me to what life was like before then. So you're a journalist and
So yeah, basically, I'm a journalist, and I'd worked at the Daily Record for 28 years, mostly in production editorial roles and editing magazines and the main newspaper itself. Um, and I got made redundant in July 2022. And the relevance of this is that I knew I needed new glasses, so I took the opportunity while while I was redundant to go and get my eyes tested. And I'm absolutely convinced that that is where I caught the opticians is where I caught COVID
right.
um, for the first time, and that developed into what I would call post-COVID symptoms.
Mm.
So I was constant fatigue, a lot of problems with nasal issues. Um, Managed to get myself another job working on a B2B magazine called Scottish Grocer with a small team, very different environment, still a lot of hard work, still involved in, editing a magazine, going out interviewing people, running a website. So very busy, very full on, certainly 40 to 50 hours a week,
Yeah.
every week. Um, but all the time coping with these kind of post-COVID symptoms, which led to an appointment with an ENT consultant who looked after me from September 2024. So I'd got, basically 2 years after I was referred.
Yeah.
And the relevance of this is that she was trying to fix all the problems I was having with
Hmm.
my nose in particular. Couldn't work out what was going wrong and why I seemed to have permanent sort of infections
Mm.
cropping up. So she decided in early May, well, decided in late April last year to carry out exploratory surgery to see what was going on. I had an appointment on May the 8th for that surgery under general anaesthetic.
Hmm.
And while she was, I suppose, poking about, she,
What a vision.
yes, indeed, glad I was under general, that's all I'm going to say. While she was poking about, she discovered these, these lumps
Mhm.
in my nose, which she thought was some kind of weird infection, but didn't know what it was. And when I came round from the anaesthetic, she showed me pictures and
Mm.
said, I'm going to send it off to some labs down south. Um, Hopefully, they'll be able to diagnose what kind of infection it was. So that was May the 8th. Fast forward to May the 21st, and I go back in to see her they put stents up my nose. So
Mhm.
went back in to get those removed. Um, and she was able then to say, right, we've had feedback from the labs. We now know what we're dealing with. And I was expecting her obviously to say it was some kind of infection.
Yeah. Polyps or
Yeah.
some kind of.
And of course, what she told me was that I had a very rare lymphoma, um, and it was often fatal.
Goodness.
The survival rates for it are not good,
Mm.
particularly if you're at stage 3 or stage 4. So the lymphoma itself, I always have to sort of write this down
Yeah.
because it's such a strange one, but it's called extranodal NK slash T cell lymphoma, nasal type.
I'm not surprised you haven't memorized that. That's quite a mouthful. My goodness, I can't imagine what it must be like going in. As you say, you when of your nose and stuff, you kind of think a cold infection and
Well,
things. But I take it hadn't crossed your mind that
no,
it could
not
be
at
cancer.
all. I mean, it really hadn't crossed my mind.
Mhm.
And actually, when I was told, my ENT consultant told me, and she had a nurse in the room with her, and the nurse was very close to tears,
Mm.
and I was just very calm about it all because it almost felt like an out of body experience,
Yeah.
like this this condition I was being told about related to someone else
Mhm.
and not to me. And I can actually remember the consultant saying to me, "You seem very calm. Are you okay? Do you understand what I'm telling you?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes, absolutely." I said, "But what do you want me to do? Shout and bawl about it?
Yeah.
Get angry? That's not going to do me any good.
Yeah.
I now need to concentrate on
How you deal with
how I
it.
deal with it
Yeah.
and actually use all my energy to battle
Mm.
this lymphoma." The relevance about the COVID thing is interesting from the point of view my hematology consultant, who I saw just 2 days later
Mhm.
because they knew they had to move quickly. It's a very aggressive lymphoma, the
Right.
one I've got. So, it takes a hold very quickly and it
Mhm.
moves from your nose to other organs of your body in a matter of weeks.
Gosh.
So if they don't catch it early, in as my hematology consultant said to me, if I'd had that surgery 4 or 5 weeks earlier, they probably have found nothing, just a bit of inflammation. If I'd have had that surgery 4 or 5 weeks later, the the tumors would have spread to other organs in my body, and we might have been having an end of life conversation rather than
God.
how do we treat this conversation.
Giles,
So,
how do you comprehend that? It's
you,
like it's
to be
almost like
honest,
fate, isn't it? It's kind
To be
of
honest, well, yeah, I mean, I happen to be a man of faith,
yeah.
as it goes, and I genuinely believe that the big man was looking out for me,
Yeah.
and the timing was just right that they
Mhm.
caught it at sort of late stage one, early stage two. So all the tumours were contained to my nose, as it was scans. Basically, I had a series of 3 scans over the course of just over a week
Yeah.
immediately after the diagnosis. And that showed that the cancer was contained to my nose, so they knew they could treat it.
Yeah.
But the relevance of the COVID thing is that basically this particular lymphoma is linked to something called Epstein Barr virus. To you and I, that's glandular fever.
Mhm.
Um, and the thinking is that my immune system was weakened. I probably had glandular fever when I was in my late teens,
Mhm.
um, although I wasn't aware of it. It stays dormant in your body, but
Mhm.
because my immune system had been weakened by COVID, it allowed EB viruses called EBV to
Mhm.
take a hold in my system.
Yeah.
And all the scientists know, and this is stuff I gleaned from Lymphoma Action UK, information I was given by my consultant.
Yeah.
This isn't stuff I'm not one for googling
Yeah.
stuff. I like everything to be verified.
Yeah.
Um, and all they seem to know is that EB virus occasionally, very rarely, mutates into this lymphoma.
Right.
They don't know how or why, they
Yeah.
just know it
It
does.
does.
And that's what happened to me.
My goodness. And thank goodness for your ENT
Yes,
consultant
absolutely.
being so on it
I
and
mean, literally, if I she genuinely saved my life.
mm,
And after my diagnosis, when I'd started my treatment, I actually went. Obviously, I was going in and out of different
yeah.
hospitals. I was in the New Victoria quite a lot. I was at the Beatson
Mhm.
unit, obviously, and the Queen Elizabeth as well. And I even had a couple of appointments at the Royal Infirmary. So I
Oh,
definitely
you've
got
done the tour.
I've got my money's worth out of Greater Glasgow Health Board for sure. Um, but yeah, I actually went back to the ENT clinic
Yeah.
and just handed in a thank you card, as in thank you for discovering this
Mhm.
lymphoma and hopefully saving my
My
life. And that was
goodness.
right at the start of treatment.
Yeah. Gosh. And when you were told that, and as we said, you didn't expect it, didn't cross your
No.
mind, you were by yourself, I take it.
Yes,
You didn't
yeah,
have
I'd
your
gone into hospital on my own because I just thought I was going in to, well, A, get these
mm,
stents removed from my nose, and B, find out what kind of infection it was.
yeah.
I genuinely thought what would happen is they'd just say, "Oh, we know it's this. We'll prescribe you these antibiotics. Take them for 2 weeks, and that'll be you. You'll be right as rain."
Gosh. Well, tell me then, how it came about, how you told your family. Because I remember coming out of that doctor's appointment and my mum and dad were on holiday and having to phone them and screaming that I just lost it on the phone. Because actually all I wanted was them there, you know. How did you cope with that?
Um, Actually, as I say, it just felt like such an out of body
Mhm.
experience to me. I was incredibly calm about it all. And I remember driving home and I thought I'd better phone my wife. I have my wife, Debbie, and I've got a 23-year-old daughter, Anna.
Yeah.
So that's my immediate family. And I thought I'd better ring my wife and just let her know.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was driving along in the car, driving back from the New Victoria Hospital back towards Eaglesham, where I live, and just said to her, "I've got a bit of bad news. I've got a type of cancer, some kind of
Goodness.
lymphoma, and apparently it's very aggressive. So I'll be, going into hospital a lot over the next few months."
What a phone call to receive.
Well, yes, and obviously, she was at work,
Yeah.
and she was. In many ways, I think my diagnosis impacted far more on my wife and
Mm.
daughter than it did on me.
Yeah.
I think if you're the sufferer, it's it can be quite easy in a way to handle because you know how you feel inside yourself,
Yeah.
um, and you know your own inner strengths or weaknesses.
Mhm.
But for your family, they have to try and second guess how you're feeling, what you're thinking. Um, and actually, you know, um, Debbie and Anna have been remarkable
Amazing.
through this. They really have been absolutely tremendous. The support, um, the love has been really quite something.
And it's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what you need. I think it's almost like when you're the one, as you say, when you're going through it, you just have to go, right, where's the next appointment? What medication am I taking? What's the treatment? You know,
Yeah,
you're kind of on, but they're almost a step removed. So I think they
absolutely.
feel
Yeah,
almost helpless, you know, like what can we do to be there to support, and just
yeah,
that love and being there is so key,
yeah.
isn't it?
And I think a couple of things that have come to mind just there. As a journalist, as somebody who was an editor for a
Mhm.
long time, I was used to being in control of situations.
Yeah.
Even if it's a breaking news story, you're still in control because you know how deadlines work.
Yeah.
Well, dare I say it, once you've covered one terrorist event, you've covered covered them all, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what the formula is to get the story out there, to
Yes.
get it produced, published,
The
in it,
process.
the
Yeah.
process, indeed. So you're in control. This was something I wasn't in control of,
Mhm.
and it's very hard in many ways to have to take that step back, accept you're not in control, and allow the medical professionals to do what they've got to do to save your life.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously within that as well, you get, different infections and things, curved balls that get thrown at you that you've got to cope with along the way. Um, as I said, because it was such an aggressive lymphoma,
Mhm.
time was critical when it came to the treatment.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the one thing. But the other thing is the amount of love and support that I received, not just from my family, but friends, colleagues, my church community, my village community. It was absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
If you bear in mind, I'd only been at the Scottish Grocer magazine for about 2.5 years. So I've been working with that particular
Yeah.
industrial sector for a very short time. But the amount of love and gifts and support that I received from people was absolutely incredible. It
Yeah.
was mind blowing,
Yeah.
actually, very humbling,
Yes.
very humbling. And as a man of faith, I drew great strength from all that love and
Mhm.
support. People would sometimes say to me, um, I'm not religious, but I want you to know you're in my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I would always say to people, if I was talking about that situation, these people may not think they have faith,
Mhm.
but they do, because they believe their thoughts have the power to help me.
Yeah.
And so that was a great strength for me
Yeah.
and very important. And I often wonder, throughout this journey, how people who don't have any kind of faith actually get through
Mm.
coping with cancer.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was hugely important.
Yeah.
Um,
And something to focus on, and
yeah,
a positive feeling, I guess, that all these people are thinking of you. They're,
yeah,
did you get some good gifts from the grocer community?
I did. Yeah.
I'm expecting good care packages
Yeah,
there.
so I actually started a blog.
Yeah.
That was my daughter's idea. She's basically said, "Come on, Dad, you've been a journalist
That's
for
your
nearly
job.
nearly 40 years. You should do, write a blog." And it's been very cathartic,
Yes.
actually.
I was going to ask you if that
Um,
was a
yeah,
good kind of, because it's beautifully written.
thank you.
And there are funny moments and obviously really sad moments as well. But yeah, it's really worth a read if you can. Promote it here. Give us the name.
Yeah, so it's called Lymphoma Basket Case, and so it's online, and it's www.lymphomabasketcase.substack.com, and it's called Lymphoma Basket Case simply because obviously once the diagnosis had sunk in, I
Mhm.
did begin to think I was losing my marbles, and at that time, simultaneously, I got two huge baskets of fruit delivered to the house from the grocery sector.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was suitable, and if people look at the blog, they'll see a photo of me really right at the very start of treatment. So I look very healthy,
Yeah.
holding one of the said baskets of fruit at the front of my house. But it is literally a diary,
Yeah.
a week by week diary of my experience
Mhm.
and what I went through. And um, One of the other things I always remember my hematology consultant saying to me right at the start, purely anecdotal, but we find that people who maintain a positive outlook tend to do better
Mhm.
than people who are either ambivalent or negative
Yeah.
about their cancer. And so I did always try to see the positives in things. And, you know, there were many unpleasant moments
Mhm.
during the course of my treatment, um, caused by basically the drugs I was being given or the radiotherapy.
Yeah.
Um, but I knew that it wasn't the cancer that was making me ill. It was actually the
Something to
treatment.
help you.
Yes. And I did use the kind of battleground analogy quite a
Mhm.
lot. But the way I viewed it, thanks again to some of the advice I was given by some of the clinicians I was dealing with, my specialist nurse was amazing at helping me get my head round stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and I viewed it as the treatment was at war with the cancer, and my body was merely the battleground
Mhm.
on which it was taking place.
Yeah.
And yes, it was badly scarred by it, badly ravaged by it, particularly at the end. I mean, when my treatment finished, the final week of my treatment, when that came to an end, I was really very ill,
Mhm.
and I had to stay in hospital an extra sort of 5 or 6 days or so while they tried to stabilize my body.
Yeah.
And I really felt so ill. Um, but it's all been worth it in the
Yeah.
end.
You're so positive, and you've got all these, you've got your faith, you've got these kind of great things to help see you through. But were there times where you thought, oh, enough, or I'm frightened?
I had a couple of occasions where I really did feel, yes, it could be the end.
Mhm.
So one of them was, uh, so the way my treatment worked was I had 5 weeks of radiotherapy Monday to Friday, with on Monday a full day of chemotherapy.
Mhm.
Then I had a 3 week break, and then basically I went into the Queen Elizabeth for a week, and during that week Monday to Friday. And during that week, I would have 3 20-hour sessions of chemotherapy,
My goodness.
followed by
Intense.
some steroid treatment. So that would take you basically from Monday morning through to Thursday, late Thursday morning, and then they keep you in on the Friday just to keep you right.
Yeah.
So you had a week of that, 2 weeks off, a week of the treatment, 2 weeks off, and then a final week of the treatment. And it was after the first week of treatment, about a week later, I got an emergency infection. Um, and I had to be admitted into the QE as an emergency patient with what turned out to be an unspecified infection.
Mm.
And when I was admitted, it was on a Sunday evening. I actually did fear that I
Mhm.
was going to die. I felt so ill.
Gosh.
I'd never felt that ill in my life.
Yeah.
Not even COVID
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
come close to that. Um, but I was determined to get better because time was so critical. So I hate to say it, but I actually lied to my doctors and said I felt great when in fact I didn't. I still
Yeah.
felt rubbish, but I was determined to go ahead with the next bout of treatment.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a learning curve, I think, for them as well, because it's such a rare form of
Mhm.
lymphoma that I've got. Less than 20 cases a year in the UK, probably about one a year in the west of Scotland, I'm led to believe. It's a learning, the protocol, as they call it, the treatment
Mhm.
plan is a learning curve for them
Yeah.
as well. So they tweaked things as they went along because they realized, oh, we can actually give him some injections that will boost production of neutrophils, for
Mhm.
example. So there were things they were doing all the time that were helping me battle this.
Yeah.
And as I say, the other time I had a real wobble was actually at the end of that third and final week of treatment in the
Mhm.
QE, where I was so ill, and I really, again, I did wonder whether I was going to pull through. Um, but one thing I would say is that, the positives that I kept encountering really kept me going.
Mhm.
And that includes all the wonderful staff that I met in the different hospitals.
Yeah.
Um, they everybody was fighting for me. I
Mhm.
could see, everybody wanted me to get through this.
Yeah.
Um, so, for example, there was one occasion where the chemotherapy that I was getting can lead to sort of thrombosis,
Mhm.
um, and there were blood tests that were taken on a regular basis, and they had discovered that I was at risk of thrombosis actually on a couple of occasions, but
Mhm.
on one occasion, it was a Friday afternoon when the results came back in. I'd been in hospital all morning. I'd got home, and I got a phone call about sort of 4:30 in the afternoon. Could I get back to the Victoria so they could give me some antithrombin
Yeah.
thrombosis treatment, basically? Um, and I didn't get there till about 5:30. Now that's a day clinic, and it's
Mhm.
meant to be wrapping up, shutting up for the day. And I found a full team of doctors and nurses just waiting for me to give me this treatment.
Mhm.
And it was some of the younger nurses were meant to be going on a night out. It was a Friday night. And they'd given up their Friday night out in order to stay back to help administer this treatment.
Wow.
And I said to them, why are you doing this? And they said, you know, this is a learning curve for us. This
Mhm.
is a very rare form of lymphoma. We want to be involved. We want to, we want to learn. We want to help you. And that's when I knew, because that was quite early on
Yeah.
in my treatment. And that's when I knew that everybody
Was on your
was on
side.
my side
Mhm.
and fighting for me. And that's true as well of the charities.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the Beatson were everywhere. And at every hospital ward or unit I went into, they were such positive places,
Mhm.
full of happiness and laughter. I had envisaged that they would be really
Doom and
grim,
gloom and
doom
yeah.
and gloom. And
Yeah.
particularly, when I was going, for example, through the radiotherapy sessions at the Beatson clinic,
Mhm.
um, I had envisaged there would be a lot of doom and gloom about anything but.
Yeah.
It was full of people laughing, joking, um, being upbeat, being positive, patients having a lot of camaraderie, the staff all being very friendly
Yeah.
and reassuring. And I had to wear one of these face masks, be strapped
Yeah.
down. And I would say to anybody out there that is maybe facing this, view it, embrace it,
Yeah.
view it as your friend, because it's there to help save you.
Mhm.
And I actually got very, very cozy with my own mask. A lot of people find them terrifying. I
Yeah.
know they do. I didn't.
Yeah.
And actually, it was the same. My overall attitude with the cancer was to embrace the experience,
Mhm.
um, not view it in a negative way.
Yeah.
You probably quite often you hear people use the phrase "fuck cancer"
Mhm.
in a very aggressive way. And I've got friends of mine who've had cancer who've been like that.
Mhm.
Um, I I just didn't have that attitude to it. I
Yeah.
didn't think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I thought what was more helpful for me was to embrace the whole experience and find the positives from
Yeah.
it. And it certainly changed my outlook on
Well, I
life.
was gonna ask you that. What have you learned from it? What have you taken?
I think probably like a lot of professional journalists, I've become very complacent in that, I was absorbed by my work.
Mhm.
Um, I probably didn't give my family enough attention. I'd used to be very involved with my local community. I'd stopped being so involved because I just felt I didn't have the time.
Mhm.
I felt time poor.
Yeah.
And I used to have a lot of hobbies when I was younger. I used to like oil painting and writing itself, reading, um, being involved in community projects, doing charity fundraising stuff. And I'd stopped all that sort of stuff over the years.
Yeah.
So I've now decided, now I'm on my road to recovery, and I'm still on that road to recovery. I've got a long way to go yet,
Mhm.
but I intend to start doing some of those things. So I want to take up creative writing again. I'm going to take up oil painting again. At one stage, I'd started learning the bagpipes and I'd stopped. Sorry to say for my neighbours, but
I
I'm
was
going to
gonna
start
say,
that
oh, your
again.
wife will be delighted.
So there are all those sorts of things. I want to do more for my church.
Yeah.
I want to do more for my community.
Yeah.
And those are all things that I will spend time and invest time in doing now.
And I always think these are the positive. It's hard to take positives from such a devastating diagnosis, but these are the things that it gives you. Sometimes it gives you a kind of reset, doesn't it? And makes you think,
Absolutely.
actually, living life in the fast lane is all very well, but it's
Yeah.
really important to take time to enjoy things and take time for
Yeah.
family. And
I think as well that both the small pleasures and the larger pleasures in life have got more of a focus for me now. So, for example, I live out in the countryside.
Mhm.
Going for those strolls around the lanes and just taking in the beauty of nature has a new meaning to me now.
Yeah.
And the bigger things, which will be some time off yet, but I love going on holiday to Italy. I, it'll be, probably September this year before I can get away anywhere. But I know I'm going to enjoy those experiences so much more.
Yeah.
Those big ticket
Yeah.
experiences, so to speak.
Oh, I'm delighted, Giles. And it's something to look forward to as well, which always
Yes.
helps, I think. It's
Yeah.
a
Again, I mean, it's so funny. One of the things I used to do at the Daily Record was edit their motoring magazine. And I'm not a petrol head, but I've always enjoyed cars. I like driving and I like the aesthetics. Um, and I spent a lot of my time in hospital, sort of almost daydreaming, looking on my phone at motoring websites, thinking, I wonder if I could afford a Jaguar, or I'd really like that little sports car, or whatever. You
Oh,
know
I
what I
see
mean?
what you're doing with
Yeah.
this now.
And of course, it's 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 not going to happen because I don't have the money. But it's nice to have those things to sort of keep you positive
Yeah.
when you're in hospital. I think it's important for people to really hold on to the positives. And it's interesting, going back to the charities as well. The Beatson.
I was going to say,
Um,
we're in this lovely Beatson
so
set. What did the Beatson mean to you?
so the Beatson meant to me everything from the dare I say it, the tea ladies who would come round
My
and
favourite thing. Yeah.
give you a tonics and make you smile,
Yeah.
make you laugh
Yeah.
every day, you know, um, right through to some of the advice about, the treatment plan, to do things to do with diet, things to do with finances.
Mm.
Um, the interesting thing is, my my late best friend from Eaglesham, uh, he died of pancreatic cancer 8 years ago.
So sorry.
Um, and at the time, if there are regrets, it's that until I became a cancer patient myself, I didn't realize just how difficult, how hard it is. I like to think I was supportive, but I could have been so much more supportive. But one of the things I am pleased about is that after he died, I held a golfing day. He was a mad keen golfer.
Mhm.
I'm a rubbish golfer, but we enjoyed
But
it.
you enjoy
We
it.
enjoyed it. So I held a golfing day at my local club, and we raised over £4,000 for the
Wow.
Beatson charity because he'd always spoken so highly about the
Mm.
Beatson. So I'm pleased I did that. And certainly one of the things I'll be doing now is holding more fundraisers for the Beatson, and probably some of the other charities as well.
Yeah.
Because with a lot of them, it's not just the physical support they can provide, which the Beatson does in spades.
Yeah.
Often it's just that bit of advice about
Yeah.
diet, or what to do coming out of treatment,
And
what have
knowing
you.
there's somewhere to
Knowing
turn
there's
to.
somewhere to turn to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I know with the Beatson, I had a couple of occasions, particularly when I was going in for radiotherapy or what have you, and chemotherapy. They've got that wonderful, tranquil area
Mhm.
upstairs in
The
the
well-being
building, the
centre.
well-being centre,
Yeah.
and it was lovely just to go there occasionally, just sit with a cup of coffee
Mm.
and
Yeah.
look out the window at the view, because it's a great
It's
view from out
gorgeous.
there.
Yeah.
But it's also all the other things that Beatson does that, again, before I became a patient, I wasn't aware of, in
Mhm.
terms of funding, clinical roles, funding bit of research, funding, equipment.
Mhm.
There's so much that the Beatson does. And actually, one of my old work colleagues, when I first got diagnosed, I did phone around various people. Again, that was cathartic for me.
Yeah.
you know, by the way, David, I want you to know I've got cancer.
Mhm.
Um, and it was my old colleague, David, who said to me, well, if you're going to get cancer anywhere, Giles, Glasgow in the west of Scotland's the best place to get it, because they've got the best facilities at the Beatson.
Yeah. And it's
And
so
that's
true.
down to the charity,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and it certainly is. I mean, it's actually mind blowing
Yeah.
what they are able to do, and how many lives they're able to help save.
We are so lucky to have them.
Indeed.
For us living in Glasgow, to have them on our doorstep,
Yeah.
it is amazing. Well, Giles, I feel very lucky to have spoken to you today. I would encourage anyone to read your Substack
Thank you.
because, as I say, it's emotional, but it's really powerful and really positive as well. And life is looking up for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
I'm on a phased return to work. Um, as I say, there's a lot to look forward to. We've already got a couple of fundraisers lined up. So, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And really, I'd just like to finish by saying a massive thank you to everybody who has helped me through this journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you at a Beatson event rocking up in a Jaguar. That's my hope for you. Giles, you've been a dream. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for listening and watching. If you would like to find out more about the work that the Beatson does, then please go to beatsoncancercharity.org. I'll see you next time.